Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's about 1:17 on this Tuesday, February 7th, 2012. And this is sort of like an update on a video I did yesterday, or uploaded yesterday, entitled Why Fans Like Characters and Things the Way They Are. Now right here, I have believe it or not, I know some of you may not like hearing this, a 4-page writing, a summary, basically a 4-page writing that I did on the computer. Because everybody's always complaining that I don't do anything text-wise. You know, they always say, oh, you got videos, they're long, and all that. And when I finally do a text, it's just as long as they don't like reading it. Or if they do, it's like they gotta find problems with it. So, but apparently there are those that haven't found problems with it. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video yesterday, yes, I am a fan of Sally's, and yes, I was upset. And as a fan, I was hurt at the fact that she got roboticized. Do I think it's going to last long? No, I don't. Do I think she'll be restored? Yes. Do I feel maybe there might be a few new designs here and there with her, like new outfit and stuff? Yes, I do. But still, besides that, I typed up basically almost a similar thing, but I added in a few more details. And this is all due to the span of what I read up on yesterday at certain websites that you'll hear about here, as well as I talk about a few people that did a few videos. Now, I will provide a link to the DeviantArt account, or the DeviantArt link, where you can find this if you want to read it. And I'll try to at least post it on here if I can, in the description box. But anyway, let's get started here, shall we? And this is basically what I've typed up, so hopefully you can follow along. If not, I apologize. But basically this is what I said, and I quote from what I have typed up today, and I quote, "Now, as I've mentioned in the video version, which I did yesterday, of this, which you can see here on YouTube, I basically said that the reason we as fans are not used to seeing Sally in this manner, even though I did not really specifically name her in the video, the reason I said this is because as longtime fans of the comic, as well as the Saturday morning cartoon, we as fans, this includes even myself, are used to looking at her like that than we are looking at her now. In other words, we're more used to looking at her as what we saw in the original, in the comics before 230, and we're used to looking at her the way we've seen her in the Saturday morning cartoon. The reason being is we're not used to it. Nor will we ever get used to it, no matter how long it goes for. So in other words, depending on how long this gets drug out, possibly to 250 as everybody's looking at, we'll never get used to it. And now, continuing on, and now with the modifications that the head writer, Ian Flynn, has allowed the villain, Eggman, to do to Sally, it makes us as fans not like it even more so than before. Now, one can argue and say that we should allow the story arc to play out before we jump to conclusions, and others will say that she needed this change to not only redeem herself in the eyes of those that are about, who saw she was misused due to the works of previous writers, but then also, in the end, it will hopefully make her more likable. In other words, there are those, as you probably know, that have come out and said, look, let it play out. Let her go through this. Who knows? It's going to probably make her more likable to everybody. We'll see. And continuing on. All that may be true. It probably is. But again, it goes back to the fact that we're not used to seeing her like this, and it makes us, as longtime fans, I know I'm repeating myself saying that, hope and pray that she's returned to normal sooner than later. In fact, one reviewer here on YouTube, to quote something he said in his latest review, I believe speaks for a lot of those that are not happy with what's going on. And I quote him, and I quote from his review, "Oh crap, and this does not look good." Those are small quotes and sayings from YouTube member and Sonic fan known as Sonic Comic World, or SCW for short. And believe me, from what I have seen and heard him say in previous reviews and topic discussions, he ain't too happy about what has happened in the comics so far. Excuse me, I'm trying to do that out of sight. I don't want you seeing that. That's my apologies. Now, speaking of fans like Sonic Comic World, there are many, and I put this, I think, in a parentheses, if you will, to ease up a little bit around places like this, because I posted it at various Sonic sites, this text version, about the same amount, if not 10% more fans out there at the other Sonic message boards and forums, as well as surprisingly at YouTube and at the most popular and recognized artistic website out there called DeviantArt, or DA for short. Now, some of you may say it's a small majority at DA that's against what has happened. But let me tell you this, it's a lot bigger than you think. Because when you search for fan art based around Sally, you will see a lot of fan art at DeviantArt on based around her original design. Now, yes, I understand a lot of you will say that the reason, and I boldly italic this, the reason we see more of the original Sally design is because the robotic one is very new, and we have yet to see what the robotic one can do in action. Like I said, I boldly put that in bold and italics, so it's basically representing what some of them are saying. Now, this is true, and even though we have seen some fan art based on the robotic design, it seems that fan artists seem to be countering that with more fan art at DeviantArt based on her original design. So basically, the more we see of Mecha Sally fan art, the more it gets countered with original Sally fan art. And when you look all over the DA website, you see not one, not two, not even three, but a good chunk of groups, DeviantArt groups, that are dedicated to the Sally character, to the Saturday morning show which she came out of and was introduced to us from, but also groups supporting her romantic relationship with a certain blue hedgehog. Now, there are probably a few groups dedicated to the robotic Sally, but yet there is one group that just begun this week which is against the robotic Sally, and even though it may look small, believe me when I say, in short possible due time, membership to that group will grow and might have more say along with those on the various Sonic message boards and forums than one can imagine. In other words, this site, which is known as the anti-Mecha Sally site, or anti-Mecha Sally group on DeviantArt, in time will probably grow in membership, and then along with those of these various message boards and sites that are against what has happened, will probably have more say than people think. Now, you may sit there, as I continue on and I quote, now you may sit there and read this and say that I'm dreaming. It's never going to happen. Give it up. Grow up. Leave it alone, and etc. And you may have a point, but let's not forget one thing. And I know this may seem strange using these two things as examples, but I think it kind of fits for this scenario. One, and this is the only examples I use, I should have put 1 and 2, but I just put 1. One, the SOPA and Protect IP Acts that Congress and the House of Legislation were trying to pass into law. No one thought at first that there would be no stopping them from passing, but yet the whole internet community, even those, as you would probably say, are small fishes swimming in a big pond or ocean, surrounded by bloodthirsty sharks with no chance of surviving, have all of a sudden not only survived, but come out victorious. And that is what happened when the entire internet community, and even those small websites and corporations, came together to voice their disapproval and disdain for what these acts could have done to the internet overall. Now, I know you're thinking, what does this got to do? That's what I'm getting. What does this got to do with what I'm talking about? I'm getting to that right now. Now, you may say to yourself and ask, what does this have to do with anything he's talking about? Again, even though they were strange examples to use, it shows you that you cannot judge something like this DA group that's against the robotic Sally just yet. Nor can you judge those that you call, at times, obsessive Saturday Morning Sonic fanboys / fangirls, because if you keep judging them, you may wake up one day and find out that they have accomplished their goal. So in other words, if you keep judging them and saying that this and that and this, and all that, if you keep just judging them and not taking them seriously, you may wake up one day and find out, oh my God, they accomplished what they said they were going to do. Now, what is the goal though? What is the goal? Well, let me explain. The goal, if you will, is real simple. To not only restore Sally to normal, but to show Ian Flynn that he could have done things differently instead of going this route, or, with no disrespect, and this is my point, no disrespect when I say this, because quite honestly, I don't want to see it happen to him, Ian Flynn that is. I don't want to see it happen to him, Ian Flynn that is, but have him removed as the head writer of the main comic, or even going as far as have him removed from Archie Comics altogether. Now, like I said, with all due respect, I don't want to see it happen because the guy is potentially a good writer. That, my friends, is their goal. The first one, restore Sally to normal, being their main goal. However, to shed some light for you all, little country there, for you all, that think this is nothing more than bashing, let me tell you this. There are more. Let me tell you this. There are those even at this anti-Mecha Sally group at DA that are saving the coming judgment for either later this month, when 234 comes out, or into a few issues later, a few months later, because only then will they serve judgment on how they feel Ian Flynn is doing as head writer. That judgment being if he is still worthy at a chance to redeem himself heading into 250, or is it time for him to be shown the door or just removed as the head writer. Again, these are people that are saving judgment for later this month and maybe a few months and issues later. Honestly, continuing on, honestly, I'm just going to sit back along with many others and see what unfolds. However, in closing, not yet closing, but semi-closing, let me say this. If I was in Ian's shoes, and because what I wrote or was going to write, and if I knew it was going to cause even more dissension among the fan base with what I'm writing in the comic as a story arc, as crazy as this sounds, I would have made a proposal to the board of directors at Archie Comics, and even those representing the Sega Corporation in general, that this story arc and even the anniversary, and I'll be back in a minute to talk about that in part 2,